Welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we talk about all things Marvel Crisis Protocol and review a different character every week. I'm your host, Fred.
Brandon.
I'm Brad, and Fred, I have a question.
Yeah,
Did
what's
you
your
go back? Did you go back and listen to the start of an old episode to see what Jared says at the beginning?
Back in the day, back when I did the blob, he sent me his show notes, and I'm just
and
copying
it's written in there.
Yeah, it's written in the show notes. I'm cheating. So as you can tell by my gruff demeanor this week, I am under the weather. I have a cold. Hopefully that's all it is. But also I'm in charge today because Jared is not able to make it due to scheduling issues. October is rough, y'all. October's rough.
I bet I have the worst October.
I bet you do. I bet you do. So how are you guys doing? It's been a nice week.
Yeah, Brad, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing better than I expected at this point, and we'll just leave it at that.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
That is very positive.
You missed a party last time with the original Human Torch.
I listened. I should have taken notes because this might be the most wrong Jared has ever been.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you want to go into it?
No, because I didn't take notes. I'm sure stuff will come up.
We only waffled like 4 times on how wrong we were being. So
I do want to bring something up to you, Fred.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not me winning.
Like that comic I recommended, Marvel Comics #1. It's probably almost 20 years before we're even created. So they're definitely not in the book.
Okay.
That comic's from the 40s. Now, you were very right about the fact that it had a different sensibility and they mostly fought like depowered criminals. Like,
yeah, I like that. You have brought that up in the past, and that is interesting to me, where it lowers the stakes quite a bit.
Oh yeah, they're so low.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of lowered stakes. The stakes are so high in the recent, Marvel and DC stuff that it's just like, oh, I can't take that.
But it makes sense because you got to think about it. Because over the course of about 85 years or 80 years, you have to you have superheroes, and then eventually you create more supervillains because of the superheroes.
Right.
There's a power creep in the lore.
Yes, there is. That's very accurate.
The good segue into new characters. Power creep.
Power creep. Well, I'm gonna go into the news. There won't be a tournament this month in Charleston, unfortunately. And I don't have any notes on any tournaments that are occurring elsewhere. Do you guys know of anything?
No.
Okay. Oh well. Well, in other news, Logan, we know what he does now. The new Logan.
And we can talk about him next week.
We'll talk about him later. We'll save that for next week. Brad, do you have any Cerebro news, announcements, and corrections for last pod?
Yeah, Jared did a bad job. So I don't remember exactly where I left off last time, and I think I'm starting in the right spot, but there might be a little bit of overlap. So I added a filter so that you could show only new cards in the browse section. That was suggestion by Brandon. It's in there now. I added
Thanks.
I added to the damage calculations the expected damage. So this is on average how much damage you will do with the attack. So that you can get a better idea of how much to expect. That's why it's expected. From that attack. It'll be in that neighborhood probably. That's just a bug fix. I don't think Jared either went over this or went over it very well, but there's now an option that you can enable that when you are making your lists, it will show you tactics cards. Well, I guess a better way of saying that is it'll filter out tactics cards that you definitely cannot use. So,
Okay.
an example is if nobody on your team has Brotherhood affiliation, you won't see Brotherhood cards. If a card requires a certain character that you don't have, that card won't show up in your tactics. And right now, if anybody has an affiliation in your list, those cards will show up. But I will improve it so that only lists 12 points and higher that are legal affiliations will show up. So if you have one Avengers member, then you won't see Avengers cards anymore on this. But that hasn't been updated yet.
Okay.
I changed and then reverted the roster view, not because it wasn't working, but because I was told by someone who does apps and stuff for a living that my first way was better than the new way. So I kicked it back. If you liked the tabs that were there for a couple of days, write into the email, cerebromcp@gmail.com, and let me know why you liked it. Because, I mean, that was one person's opinion. I thought it was a well-informed opinion, but if you say otherwise, I'll at least listen to you. And then the most recent update is that you can now search for multiple tags. So when you want to go under tags, if you want to find all the models that have flight and a push, you can type in flight, a space, push, and it will only show models that have both. So that was recommended by someone and it was pretty easy to do. So I went ahead and did it.
Sounds like you've been working a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to a weekly topic. And now this is one that I cooked up that I'm not stealing from Jared, so the quality is probably a little bit down. But I'd like to talk about some of the big traps in the game, namely tactics cards that lead you to a play that's non-ideal, like a non-ideal fashion. I'll start us off, and I want to talk about the tactics card with Hydra, whose name I am forgetting now, but it's the one where everyone has to complete a certain set of parameters. Boy, I should have been looking this up. But everyone has to complete a certain set of parameters in order for it to trigger. And if it triggers, you get to put a brand new 4-threat model, I should say, onto the field of battle. It is a very strong effect, but it is an incredibly difficult card to achieve. Now, I know myself, and I know how I would approach this. And what this would mean was that I would spend the entire game trying to manufacture this card's trigger, and instead of trying to win the game. It would end up being a circumstance where I would be essentially ruined in the game already just by trying to get this incredibly strong card to trigger. And it would end up creating a worse outcome for me. So, do you guys have any thoughts? Any traps that you can think of? We'll start with you, Brandon.
Yeah, oh god, I'm trying to find the name of it. I'm trying to find the card too.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend the time that you're that you're talking, looking up the name of the card that I was talking about, because I can't believe I'm forgetting it.
I guess I'm just gonna search. That's annoying. So
Yeah,
many
Brad
tactics
has
cards these
created
days.
this wonderful app that has all this useful organizing tools on it, and I'm
Cloning
sitting here.
The High
banks.
Council is the name of your card,
High
Fred.
Council. That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's very similar to cloning banks, right? Mr. Sinister card.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Cloning
Uh,
banks. You're right.
yeah, I mean, there was a point where I bought Mr. Sinister not because he came with a did he come with an extra? He came with an extra,
Yeah, he
right?
came with Legacy Virus.
Legacy Heroes. I mean, that was the original reason. Then I was like, well, now I want to play this because I want to pull off cloning banks, and it's like, so when like every time I play him or even see him played, I'm just like, all right, somebody, you can do it, because it's his is actually easier than the Hydra card. I think substantially easier. It's really easy to get his off by turn 3. Um, the problem is he doesn't do a whole lot of anything else, so it's kind of like obnoxious. Um, he does good things, and we'll talk
I
about it in
think
a
he's
later
better
date.
if you don't put his tokens on that card.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got to
no,
use
yeah,
this token.
100%. Yeah, he is much better. Like, and that's kind of it was funny because I played a game, and it was one of those games where I was like, well, I couldn't afford to do that, so I needed to keep his genetic samples, to like keep healing, like to heal him, and use it for as a rerolls on one of them. Or the range, the recumbent disintegration. I was like, well, I think I'd
Yeah,
rather do
it's
this.
the
Like, I'd rather
range.
have the like an area, 3 attack, which seemed really good. Um, so it was like you realize, like, oh, if you actually just keep these samples, they're very useful versus putting them on a card, trying to eventually get another character that may or may not actually be useful by the time you get it off.
That's fair. How about you, Brad? Can you think of a card that leads you down into a trap?
Well, I was gonna take a different approach to this, but
Okay. Yeah.
and
Take it.
maybe I will. But the card that came out to mind was Professionals. Um,
Professionals. I don't even know what.
yeah.
I don't even
So
know what that is.
Professionals takes no, Tasha Romanoff and Clint Barton may each spend
Yeah.
2, which they have to do before anything else. And then if Clint Barton damages a character with an attack this round, and Natasha Romanoff is within 2 of them, then she gets the asset or civilian token that they were carrying.
Okay.
So you have to play it before you even know if Hawkeye's gonna do damage.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah,
And it's
so
essentially it's 2 power off of each of them.
yeah, it's too powerful.
And
If
Hawkeye
you
does
just
not throw a lot of dice.
if you just change it to be reactive instead of active, the card gets way better. But you should not chase that thing. I was gonna actually go a different direction though and say that in general, if you're trying to play a card that is gimmicky and like would be fun to pull something off with, instead of a card that's just all around better, like just a general purpose good card, then you're falling into a trap.
That's
Like,
fair.
You're also playing a game.
Yeah, this
Right.
is. I would love to
right,
see council trigger at some point.
right,
I
and
would
and
love.
in your fun games, try it. But if you're going to a tournament, pick cards that are just generally good. Like Chimichanga is not worth taking.
Why?
But if
The
you want
bullface
to,
lie.
with your friend,
Very worth
fight over
taking.
the chimichanga all game, you go for it. But do
Don't
not take
listen to
that to a
Brad.
tournament.
Don't
gotta
listen to Brad.
say,
You play chimichangas every time you play Deadpool.
Also, never.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, I have played chimichangas several times, and every single time I played chimichangas, it ended up in the opponent's hands pretty quickly, and was in their hands way more than in Deadpool's.
Man, I want to see She-Hulk get the chimichanga now.
I don't. Oh my god.
I
She
will
would love
say,
having a chimichanga.
I have never not played a game with Deadpool where I didn't take chimichangas.
How many games with Deadpool have you played?
I played X-Force for a little while.
I want everyone to know that Deadpool is Brandon's favorite Marvel character. He even has a tattoo of him. I have seen him on the table maybe twice.
I do love Deadpool.
I used to bring him for a little bit. I'd
I have
love
a
for it to do that.
I have a recorded game against Matt, I believe, uh, with where Deadpool picks up all three legacy viruses
Ooh,
and
Nice.
and offs himself, and I was really devastated because I didn't want to do that.
There's
It's really
there's there's a lot of talk recently about going back and reevaluating old models since the meta changes. And I've heard that from several podcasts in the last couple weeks. And the more I think about Deadpool, the more in a world where we have a bunch of healing factor, he seems better than he did back then.
it's the 4 health on the front side.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
rough, but he has a thing to make up for it on the back.
Yeah, I
And he
still
has
think it
healing
should
factor
be.
too, right?
Yeah,
yes.
I think it should be 5. I think it should have been 5 and 6. We don't have to talk about that much more, but I think I think his attacks are fine. Um,
His duodenum poke.
yeah, and then you've got I know karate. It's good. Unicorn, rainbows, and sugar plums dancing through my head. Also good. Uh, again, they
We'll talk about
always.
him on a different pod. We don't need to go through
Yeah,
his
yeah,
entire
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does good things. So I agree with
We'll
what Brad was
review
saying
him
about that.
eventually.
I
But
think a
I think
big.
that that's a topic for another one. Is what character do you think needs a renaissance?
Mhm.
But
I, I have
And
one other thing.
there are rumors of maybe a Weapon X affiliation,
okay,
maybe. So I think that might get him played a little bit more too.
Yeah, that would probably help him. I think he's good. Yeah. Anyway, I have one other thing to say about traps.
okay.
I think any card, really, when you focus on it too much, kind of, and I think it paid off for me last night in our game, Fred. But there was a certain point. It was we played 5 rounds, and it was round 3. I had not used Indomitable, and you had
Oh
pushed
yeah.
me and thrown me multiple times, almost in every single round. But it never was super impactful, and I was like holding on to it. And there was a certain point in my head I was like, I need to use this because there's a scenario where he just stops moving me around because he wants to kill my characters, and then I'm not going to be able to use it. And it was I lost some points because of it. You were getting me off points and stuff, and I think it worked out for me, but it was one of those scenarios where it was like real awkward for me because it was like it shouldn't have.
You 100% used it at the right time, 100%, and you did the right thing to wait. But
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. Like sometimes you want to wait to use something, but sometimes if you wait to use something, you may never have an opportunity to.
exactly. Yeah, sometimes,
Yeah.
especially cards like Indomitable and Brace for Impact, like sometimes you just want to use it. Like, and it is like, so if you're playing against Criminal Syndicate where they've got throws everywhere, it's like, you can kind of hold on to it where it's a little detrimental. But if you're playing against, say, X-Men, where they really have, 2 models who have character throws in Beast and Rogue, and well, Storm can throw itty
Storm,
bitty
yeah.
characters, right? Yeah.
She can throw
So,
size 2.
yeah. And Beast
Well,
is
Beast can throw
3.
size 2. No,
Is it 2?
Beast is 2.
And then Rogue's 4.
Yeah.
Uh, so like that's one of the scenarios where yeah, you might want to just use it when you're playing against X-Men because it might not come up again. Um, but like in our matchup specifically, there were a decent amount of pushes and throws on both sides, so it was
Oh yeah.
kind of worth it.
Oh
But
yeah.
it did come down to a scenario where it was like it was getting real iffy that if it was actually going to be useful or not.
I'll tell you what. You using it when you did
And
definitely helped you enormously.
yeah,
All right.
it definitely
Well,
worked
hey,
out.
hey, speaking of which, let's talk about that game.
Segway.
Let's talk about games.
Let's-
So I played a game last night against Brandon, and we played my Hydra versus his. Oh no, I wasn't Hydra. I was Cabal
this
versus
was a
Cabal.
Cabal versus Cabal matchup.
It was Malekith versus Malekith, and we had very different supporting teams. But we were both playing Malekith, and it was bloodbath.
It was a
We were
game.
playing
It
at
was
20 points. It was a great game, by the way, Brandon. I had a blast.
Yes, it was a very good game. I thought about it all night. I was like, man, I'm so glad we actually got to play that game because it was
Yeah.
one of the fun games I've had in a while.
Oh yeah, that was great. We played at 20 points, and we were playing Creekcore and Gamma. We were playing
Yeah.
Gamma and Creekcore. My list was Malekith, Red Skull. Oh my God, how am I blanking on everything else? Can you help me?
Bullseye, yeah, Bullseye, Zemo, Zola.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. And you had Malekith, Black
Yeah.
Cat, Kingpin,
Shadowland,
Bullseye,
Daredevil,
and
and Bullseye.
Shadowland Daredevil.
You remembered my list and didn't remember yours.
Yeah, because I was getting my ass handed to me by your people and not by my own. I just had a bunch of people in between me and you were just kicking my ass.
Yeah, my 20. That's the only time. So like, my list is very designed. I play Creek Core as one of my extracts. My extracts on my list are Alien Ship, Fear Grips, and Research Station. Uh, I play Malekith on Alien Ship as unless the secure is superpower scoundrels. Then I probably play Kingpin. Um, but the extracts are kind of designed more around Malekith on Alien Ship and Fear Grips. But my 20 is very. If I'm playing Alien Ships and it's 20 points, I'm almost always playing Malekith, Shadowland, Kingpin, Bullseye, Black Cat.
Yeah,
It's a
and
very
it was a
strong
highly
5.
effective combination. The dice were also super swingy in both directions. Like, he was rolling garbage on his defensive dice, and I had a couple rolls that were bananas. But then later in the game, he was able to do. Do you remember how much damage? It was like 9 damage to Malekith
So
with the
yeah,
minion,
my
with
hand ninjas
hand ninjas.
rolled. My hand ninjas on their first attack rolled 6 successes, and on their second attack rolled 7 successes.
Yeah, it
On
was
4
it was
dice.
wild.
Yeah,
And he took out Malekith with the hand ninjas. Oh God, that hurt.
yeah,
That I think that hurt, but that did not change the ultimate outcome because that was gonna happen anyway. You had Malekith pretty well surrounded by beefy boys.
yeah. Malekith was at the moment surrounded right beside Black Cat, Shadowland, hand ninjas, and my Malekith. So, and there wasn't another. So it was definitely a situation where it wasn't looking good for your Malekith. The ninjas were just not supposed to be the models that took him out in that scenario.
But they did,
But
and it was effective.
this was turn 5, and he had just got dazed. So it wasn't like it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. My Malekith
Yeah,
was dazed that turn, so I mean,
yeah.
it was
Malekith had
he
done a
had been
lot of
running
work.
around
His
too.
Malekith did great, did a lot of work up to that point.
Yes, he did. Can I just say Malekith rocks. Uh,
Yeah.
but also, it was a great game. I had a good time. Your Kingpin kicked ass, just like my Malekith did. And unless there's anything else, I wanna hear real quick Brad talk about his experience with Sentinels.
I have one quick thing I want to ask you. So I thought
Okay.
about this a lot about that game. And I don't know if it was detrimental or not, but I thought about it. I feel like one of the biggest differences in our game, because I feel like I said, I think our lists were pretty similar. I think the big thing is you focused very heavily on my Malekith, and I just killed all your other models.
That is 100% the problem. I
Yeah,
like focused on Malekith. I did daze him, and I did some damage to his other side, but I didn't ever KO him.
yeah.
And he
And I
just
thought about that, especially because like
beat
King, I
me.
remember like there was like you focused on like him and Kingpin specifically, and Shadowland just walked around. Shadowland and my Malekith were basically just walking around, punching people to death and throwing Malekith into people and throwing Red Skull into buildings. Uh,
Yeah,
and I thought about that, and I was curious. I think it's an interesting discussion to have about if you really should focus like full in on Malekith, because when like and that was the thing is that turn when Malekith had all his power, that turn's kind of like that's a tough turn when you're the opponent. And you had, I think, only one turn where you had more than like power to where you could literally just charge. Like you
Right.
charged every
Yeah.
turn, but for the most part, you didn't get to do a whole lot of anything else. Where I was able to, butcher Thor's almost every turn.
Mm-hmm.
I got to change some crits and stuff. So that was a fun. I thought about that a little bit, and I was like, I think that was really. And I don't think either was this because I think if you took out my Malekith, say a turn before, I don't think that game ends the way. Uh, he's just hard to kill.
Yep.
I mean, he's
Yep.
just hard to kill.
His staying power is part of his best, is one of his better
Yeah.
aspects. Let's move on. Brad, I want to hear about your Sentinels game.
Well, Sentinels are pretty good. For those that don't know, the Sentinel card, it's 2 energy, 3 power, and when you play it, you get another one in your hand. So it just builds that reliability you need, especially early in the grind. Like if you're just starting now, you pick up the Sentinel card, throw it in your deck. It's going to be good for you.
Which card?
Sentinels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are talking about Marvel Snap, right?
Oh my god. I was so confused. I was sitting here looking through Cerebro MCP going, what is the Sentinels card? What is he talking about?
Yeah, I was
None of
waiting for. That's what I was like. I don't. That's why I was like, I don't know what we're talking about, guys. Like, I zone out a lot on this podcast, but like, I normally catch up pretty quick. That was good. You know what?
Hats off, Brad.
Yeah, that's good. You got the two guys over here dying to fall for your tricks.
Yeah, you got us again.
Oh, you want to know about my Sentinel game in MCP?
Yes.
Sentinels
Yes.
are trash. Throw them in the trash. Never
Oh
play them.
no. Oh no.
That
Do you have
game
a
went.
very bad experience?
That game went so bad for me against Michael. I lost all my Sentinels. So my list was 3 Sentinels and Toad. We were on Gamma, and the extract was Spider People.
Okay. You're already at a huge disadvantage because there are 5 extracts and you can only ever hold 4 of them.
Right. But he only had one more model than me. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay.
But Sentinels really don't like it when physical attacks have pushes. That was a big downside. Because
Okay.
that gets around their thing.
Yeah.
They only roll 3 physical dice. That also was bad.
You know what's really bad for Armanzola? 2 physical defense.
Oh yeah. Arnim Zola did nothing in our game, but that's not relevant. I want to hear more about the Sentinel.
Yeah, I just kept getting hit. Was
Tell him about the
against.
play. Tell him about the one play.
Hold on, I'll get there. Red
Okay.
Skull 2 was who I was playing against, and he had like Zemo, and I actually controlled Zemo pretty well. Who else did he have? Mordo.
Yeah.
I made a mistake with Mordo. I could have dazed him at one point, and I left him at 1 health, thinking I'll daze him next turn, and then he can't use him, and then he healed him.
Did he have Hood?
I don't think he had Hood, but I don't remember how he healed him. Anyway, it went bad. I lost all my Sentinels, but when the last one died, I played the Explodey Sentinel card, and I rolled 5 successes on the 5 dice.
Whew.
And I think he had no model standing at the end of that. Either killed or dazed his entire team.
So it was a Pyrrhic victory for Michael, at least.
Yeah, that hurt a lot. Hold on, I'm trying to think. There was yeah. So Michael dazed 5 sentinels and killed 3,
Oh my
leaving
God.
1 on the table at the end.
I'm confused as to the math because you only have 3 sentinels.
He dazed 5 sentinels. He killed 3 of them, and I still had a sentinel left on the table.
My previous statement stands.
That sentinel was injured.
Okay.
Does that help?
No.
I don't think
I'm
he's gonna
so
get there.
confused.
I
I don't know
played
enough
I
about.
played under your skin. So Toad was also a sentinel
Okay.
because it was a fun game for fun. So I play fun cards
And then
sometimes.
you also like brought one from dazed
From
to healed.
from injured back to healthy. So he dazed my entire team plus one of the sentinels an extra time, and then killed 3 out of 4 of my models.
Wow. What a game. What a bloodbath.
Yeah, it was rough. Now he
Sounds
didn't have a
fun.
whole lot left at the end of the game. I don't remember exactly what, but it was enough. It was
Yeah.
more than Toad.
Yeah, at one point I looked over and it was like a sentinel and Toad was left, and he had like everything else.
Yeah, but that sentinel killed several models and dazed the rest of them.
The sentinel did
So
what he was supposed to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, when it died. So that played out like every X-Men comic ever, where the X-Men win a brutal
only it was
victory.
Red Skull.
Only it was Red
Runs
Skull.
away.
Yeah.
I've heard that they're better on bees. So I guess I'm gonna try them again on a bee.
Bees?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you guys would like to talk about in the game section, or would you like to move on to the character review? All right, then let's move on to our review of Pyro as I pull him up.
Who?
You know this Pyro?
Never heard of them.
Oh my god. He is lying, everyone. His name is St. John Allardyce.
No.
Is that correct?
Try
What
again.
is it? Oh god. Uh
I
Allardyce.
was so looking forward to Jared being the one to do this, but
I don't know
we're
what you
gonna
expected, Fred.
All
I
right.
really don't.
Allardyce.
No, you got the last name right. Try the first name again.
It's not St. John?
No, it's not Saint John.
What is the ST for?
Saint.
Is it
I'm-
Joan? Is it Saint Joan?
I
No.
would like for you to know that you're an asshole.
It's pronounced Sinjin.
Shingen? Okay.
Uh-huh. That's
Okay.
how it's pronounced in the UK and Australia, both of which is where he's from, but not really.
Yeah, these are also places where Worcester has a whole ton of extra letters in it.
Yeah, but it's Sinjin. It's pronounced Sinjin.
Okay, well, St. John Allardyce. He's
Yeah,
got
there we go.
3 physical, 4 energy defense, and 3 mystic defense. He has 5 stamina. He's threat 3, size 2 with medium move. His first attack is Fire Blast, which is a gainer where when he does the attack, he gains 1 power. It's range 4 with 5 dice, and it has Wild Incinerate trigger. And then there's the Flame Jet, which is very similar attack, only it's beam 3 with 4 dice. And it's also a gainer with Wild Incinerate. And then his spender is Inferno. It is cost 3 with 7 dice, range 2. And after this, it just gives the target Incinerate. And before damage is dealt, enemy characters within 2 suffer 1 damage. His first superpower is Firewall. It is cost 2, and choose an enemy character within range 3 of this character. The chosen character gains the root and slow special condition. The next superpower is Stoke the Flames. It is cost 3, and the next attack action made by this character this turn adds 2 dice to the attack rolls, I should say. And then Fire Manipulation passive. When this character targets an enemy character with an attack after the attack is resolved, if the target character has the Incinerate special condition, this character may choose another enemy character within range 2 of the target character. The chosen character gains the Incinerate special condition. Okay, whew. I'm having trouble getting enough air in my lungs. Why don't you start us off, Brad? I've been starting with Brandon.
So in the picture here, you can see that he's made a little Magneto helmet out of his flames.
He has. I do see that.
Which is very fitting because he's going to be great with Magneto. Magneto loves this card because it has a very important word on it. Incinerate. And Magneto wants to kill people. In fact, it has the word incinerate on there a couple times.
A ton of times. This is the most incinerate character, I
4
think,
to be
in the game.
exact. 5 to be exact, sorry.
At
guess
least
about 2,
6,
4,
7.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 times, sorry.
It is
Yeah.
irrelevant how many times the word appears, but he has a ton
7.
of incinerate abilities.
Incinerate's really good.
Yeah.
Gaining the power is good because he doesn't have to deal damage, which is good with 5 and 4 die attacks. Getting multiple off that beam's great. Dealing splash damage with his spender is good, and it's 7 die, which isn't bad. Auto gives incinerate. Could be 9 dice if you spend 6 power, which
doesn't seem like a good idea.
And let's be realistic, that's not going to happen. You're going to stoke the flames on the beam, and that's it.
Yeah.
You also probably don't want to be close enough to do that spender, but
yeah, he's kind of fragile. He's got he's the exact same on the back. Also, I didn't say. So he's got 5 and 5 stamina wise.
Yeah, this seems like a good piece in Brotherhood. I think a little bit better for Magneto than Mystique, even though he was on Mystique's Brotherhood. But a fun piece. I'm looking forward to trying him on the table. I haven't got a chance to yet.
Brandon, what are your thoughts?
He's basically everything I wanted out of this character. We talked about Blob. I kind of wanted a very control-y size or 3-threat character. I'm not sure how control he is, but he does have control features. Also, I feel like when you just incinerate a ton of people, it kind of makes them think twice about what they do and like where they go. And this character having ranged attacks that can give incinerate is really, really good. To feed off what Brad said, I think he's really, really good with Magneto. However, I think he's really, really good with Mystique as well. Just being able to give another in-affiliation model to go really wide with at a lower threat cost. So I really like that you can almost play a really good roster that's pure Brotherhood models now. He really assists in that. Yeah, I'm with Brad. You're only ever gonna stoke the flames on the beam attack.
Yeah.
The spinner, however, does the cool little tidbit that says other enemy characters within range 2 instead of other characters, so you can't hurt your own characters, which is really cool. Kind of thematically, because if I'm not mistaken, he just has it's all manipulation of fire, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he is very, very good at shaping fire. He cannot create it.
yeah. Which is also fun because he's also then not immune to incinerate.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah, he can absolutely be caught on fire.
Yeah.
Huh.
As much as he can then control it, he's still gonna be burned. So I thought that was a cool little tidbit. As much as the local people will remember how much I complained about Ghost Rider not being immune to incinerate, which was infuriating for a long
Clearly
time.
on fire.
Yeah, clearly not affected by said fire. Um, yeah, I do like the fact that as early as turn 1, he can incinerate, root, and slow somebody. Um,
Yeah, I mean they have to be pretty far upfield for him to do that.
just the
But yeah,
middle. You
he
can
can.
move. You can move Fire Blast if they're on the middle point. You move Fire Blast. It's range 4. You hit a wild. If you
With
made
a
a
root
full
and
medium,
slow or range
yeah,
3.
but if you made a full medium move, you're well within range 3 of the middle objective. Um,
Okay.
So that's, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously it's like you kind of have to, but again, if you're playing a wide Mystique list and you get to go last, they're probably going to move up if there's a center point. Um, again, it might not be the most effective, but I think it's pretty cool. You could being able to firewall every turn. Um, I think it's going to be really relevant with this character, uh, as well as just being able to pump out incremental amounts of damage. But again, like Brad said, just being able to incinerate so easily is going to be really,
Y-
really good.
Yeah, I want to talk about Firewall because that seems like it's great. Being able to put out slow and root for 2 power every turn. You'll likely
Get
get it
fucked,
off
Black
a
Cat.
lot. Yeah, seriously. And Malekith can be slowed and rooted. That means that brutality would cost 3 instead of 2, so he can't do it every single turn. Man, oh man.
This also really sucks for Quicksilver, but no one's playing Quicksilver.
Ferocity is the name of the attack that you.
Oh, did I
gain.
say something? Did I say brutality?
Yeah,
Ferocity is what I meant to say. You're correct. But I mean that on a 3 cost, having access to firewall plus that number of incinerates seems bananas.
How many incinerates?
7, and his abilities here. He's not a damage dealer, although he can probably do some damage if you have to shell it out.
Chip damage.
Yeah, he is a support piece for a force for the Brotherhood that already does a ton of damage. I
yeah.
mean, Magneto
He might not
can
put out the
shred.
damage, but he will 100% cause more damage to be done.
Yeah. Magneto can shred people when this guy's on the table. I'm this is scary. Like I'm scared of this guy. I don't want to see him.
Makes me want to play Sabretooth again too.
Oh,
Because you can go with Pyro, spread incinerate to as much people as possible, and if he goes and targets Sabretooth, like your opponent targets Sabretooth, you just attack him back.
yeah.
You get extra attacks and they're incinerated.
Yeah. This is a really good place. Like I like where this model is. Uh do you guys have anything to add, or do you want to move on to the letter review for this or letter grade for this gentleman?
As much positive as we've spoken, I can 100% see this character being a character who just kind of gets forgotten about because he does not immediately impact a ton. Being very reliant on wild incinerates on your free attacks. As Fred can tell you in our game last night, I did not roll a wild at all.
Yeah,
Like the
except
entire game.
when you didn't need it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, except for the one time it wasn't important. Um, so that's something to being very reliant on the wilds without a reroll or really many ways to give a reroll in that affiliation. I know we were very positive, and I'm still very positive on this character. There's something in the back of my head. I don't know why, but it's just telling me like this character could very easily kind of be forgotten about.
Not in
Um,
Brotherhood.
yeah, probably not in Brotherhood, but just in like I don't know how much he's going to be considered for other rosters.
Yeah, I want to bring up another thing, and that is the thematic similarity between this guy and the original Human Torch, and uh, how I was not super up on original Human Torch, and I am super up on this guy. And what do you guys think is the biggest difference? I mean, maybe it's because they have different places, they have different play styles, but I can't put my finger on it. And maybe that's a question that requires a degree of contemplation. So maybe it would be best if we move on to our letter grade right now. Uh, I guess I'll kick us off with this guy. I want to give him a B plus, and I was debating an A minus, but I don't think I want to give him an A minus because he's so fragile. Why don't you go next, Brad?
I also was gonna give him a B plus. So I guess I'm right there with. I like my B's to be solid in faction picks, and my A's to be um out of faction picks. And I think he's on that high end. Like he'll get played in faction and may get played sometimes out of faction.
Okay, Brandon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm at a B. Because of that. I don't, for two reasons. I don't think he's the first 3-point character in your affiliation that you grab. And I don't know if you ever play him outside of affiliation. I think you can. And I have a couple. I have a list that I think he fits in pretty well in. Um, but yeah, I'm just kind of a little, like I said, I don't know what it is, man. There's just something in the back of my head that is just like, slow the pump the brakes a little bit. I'm just a little. It was kind of, I think, dark. I was very pump the brakes on Dark Star as well when we talked about her. And
Darkstar, who I like quite a bit now.
I think she's good, but again, I mean, I just don't think she had the impact that I think we maybe thought she might. I don't know. There's
Yeah,
just something in the back of my head that's just like, be easy, just be easy. So
fair, fair.
B's
Uh,
still solid grade. B's still solid
oh
grade.
yeah, yeah. So we are a B and two B pluses. We are way tighter and way higher than we were on original Human Torch. Uh, all right. So you brought up your list recommendation. I'm going to change the order of things a little bit. Uh, Brandon, why don't you tell us what your roster recommendation is for Pyro?
Okay. I think you might like this one. This one had a little bit of Fred influence in it.
Ooh,
It's, I mean, it's, I'm leaning, so I'll give a little background. So I was really looking at like, I looked at X Force for a little bit. I looked at Convocation for a little bit. And I think both of those are places that could maybe think about if you really want to play them, and those are the affiliations you really like. You could maybe make room for it. But I like him in Spider Foes. Um, the
Spider
s-
Foes.
the
Ooh,
Spider Foes players are very committed to playing Spider Foes. Uh,
can confirm.
And all the most of the spider foes, Venom likes to kill people, Craven likes to kill people, Goblin tries to kill people, Doc Ock also tries to kill people, Carnage fucking slaughters people. Uh, so they're trying to kill people, and one of the best ways to try to kill people, root them, prevent them from what they're doing, and give them incinerate.
And slow them down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think spider foes are a fun little place for those that are committed to never giving up on the gobby. Um, yeah, so it's just a couple. Like I said, I waffled between a couple different ones. I'm not even. The convocation was the weird one because again, like you kind of play that really fighty. X Force tries to fight. I don't know how good that is. But for those factions that are really trying to fight, I think you could look at him. I don't know how much you'll play him, but I think Spider Foes could fit him in the easiest because they don't really have a whole lot else going for them.
Yeah, I like that roster recommendation. I think I failed to point out that all of his attacks are energy, which is really
It's
good.
relevant. Yeah, it's very relevant.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. Well, Brad, do you have any comic book recommendations that involve Pyro?
I've never heard of them, so no. I'm just
No.
kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay, Mister. It's not Saint John.
It's not St. John. It's Sinjin. We went over this. Okay,
Yeah.
so Pyro. First to note that there is a very famous, one of the most famous X-Men storylines that involves these Brotherhood members that I am saving for a different character. So if I don't do the obvious one, it's not because I don't know about it, guys. I just saving it for someone else. So today I'm going to talk about two different storylines. One is Uncanny X-Men 199 through 200. This is Chris Claremont and John Romita Jr. And Freedom Force, which is Mystique's Brotherhood, but they've been hired by the government to hunt mutants. Arrest Magneto for his many, many crimes. And the X-Men help defend against that. They help defend Magneto. And Pyro and the rest of the Brotherhood do some cool stuff with their powers in this. Because the Freedom Force wins. They arrest Magneto, and Magneto goes up for trial. And wow, the way that trial plays out sure is fun. So make sure you read 200 as well. But you get to see Pyro do some cool stuff in this. So that's one of my recommendations for Pyro.
Okay. Freedom Force, and it's Mystique.
Yeah, Mystique. She has never worked for Magneto in the comics, unlike the movies. So she creates her own Brotherhood, and for a while they're generic bad guys. But Valerie Cooper, who works for the government, offered them pardons if they would work for the government in hunting down rogue mutants.
So Freedom Force is sort of like a Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
I really want to talk. It's a big spoiler, but I want to talk about Magneto's trial for a second.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
He's on trial for like so many things. Like, wow, he dismantled a bunch of nuclear weapons. He threatened to sink the sub, all sorts of stuff. But he's on trial. It's like a UN type trial. It's like an international trial. Okay. And his lawyer is Gabby Howler, who is Charles Xavier's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his son, Legion.
Okay.
But then Fenris twins attack. You know, Fenris, the stars of the hit TV show Gifted, only the evil versions, because that's what they are in the comics.
Sure.
They're Nazis. They attack the trial. Magneto saves everyone, and then he gets acquitted of all charges because he had been reverted back to a baby by a mutant creation he created and was raised back from a baby. So all those crimes weren't technically this Magneto.
Oh boy. Okay, so legal documents say that he is not responsible for the crimes he committed because he was raised differently than oh boy.
Because he was a baby again.
That is some.
And so that was a different man.
That is some incredibly forward-thinking legal precedent a very friendly legal precedent that I don't think is real.
You don't think the precedent of being turned into a baby, so you're waived of all crimes before that, is real? Why not?
Well,
People get turned into babies all the time, Fred.
Don't answer his questions, Fred. Still give it to him.
I recently watched the movie A Clockwork Orange, and I
That
mean,
movie is good and disturbing.
yeah. So, and it's also very, very pessimistic, cynical, you might say, about the legal structures of government. But that's neither here nor there. Did you have another
Yeah, I
recommendation?
did. Cable 87. In this issue, Pyro dies. It is by Robert Weinberg and Michael Ryan. Mystique's Brotherhood, they're no longer working for the government. They're trying to kill Senator Robert Kelly again. And Cable and Rogue are trying to stop them. So they fail, but someone else steps in and saves the day, saves Senator Robert Kelly, who hates mutants, from being assassinated. And you know what? That person, with their noble sacrifices, changes Robert Kelly's mind and heart. And he then starts running on a pro mutant campaign stump thing, whatever it's called. I can't think of the words I'm trying to think of.
A platform of pro mutant.
Yeah,
policy.
instead of anti. And
Okay.
and that hero is probably who you think it is, given who this is about. So read the comic. It's the last one Pyro's in until the mutants invent resurrection and can bring everyone back.
Okay. Well, that was again, every single time we go into the X-Men universe, it's bug nuts. All right. Well, I'm gonna bring. We move on to my non sequitur recommendation
Which,
today.
okay, Fred,
Oh,
you have not been telling us how they are connected to these characters.
no,
And I'm starting to think they aren't.
they okay. So they are the most far the connection can be, or I should say, the more distant it is, the more fun it is. And I don't tell you how they're connected, but sometimes it's freaking obvious, like Blazing Saddles with original Human Torch. I mean, it's right there.
I don't recall any saddles on fire.
There aren't, but it's in the title. Uh,
It was literally just the word blazing was your connection.
yes, it's non
Oh my
sequitur.
God.
It
I
doesn't
love.
have to make sense. That's the
I need
point.
to know that I love it even more now.
This is all stuff that I just like and I want other people to experience. And it's the first thing that I really like that comes to mind when I'm thinking about a character.
I
And
love
it
it even
can't
more
be
because
related
now
to
you're
Marvel.
just like, I like it. Deal with it. I want to talk about it.
Yeah, and in I think that it was the Cyclops episode. I just brought the movie Barbarian for no reason. There was no reason. I just had watched it that week. But this time there is a connection, and I want you to try and find it. But you will only be able to find it if you've seen this movie. I'm bringing a movie by famed anime director Hayao Miyazaki called Howl's Moving Castle. Uh, this is a absolutely gorgeous story about a sorcerer who has a castle that moves, and there's no way that I can describe this movie and do it credit. Only know that this is Hayao Miyazaki operating at his most incredible art direction style. I think that it is a toss up for me as to which one is my favorite Hayao Miyazaki movie between Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away. I think they're both unqualified masterpieces of animation, but on about 50% of the days, I will say that Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite of his movies.
Brad, have you
So,
seen this movie?
I've not seen Howl's Moving Castle. I've seen Spirited Away though.
yeah.
Because Howl's Moving Castle is actually a good movie, so there's no way Brad had seen it.
Hey,
So is Spirited Away. Hey, if you say anything bad about that movie,
I wasn't going to. It's no Waterworld, but
he
it's
was
pretty good.
Oh god.
Brandon, have you seen Howl's Moving Castle?
I have, but it has been a significant amount of time.
Okay. Well,
I,
I'll
I
walk you
once
through
talked
my
to
recommendation.
I once talked to a girl who it was her favorite movie. So as a wee lad, I tried to impress her by watching it.
Well, she has good taste.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. Like to a point where like afterwards I talked to her about it for a while and then it didn't matter anymore. Like what she wanted to talk or watch. I was like, this movie's just great. Like there's a positive
Yeah.
that came out of this.
Yeah, yeah. There is a character in Howl's Moving Castle called Calcifer, who is a spirit of fire, and he is literally just a little fire that talks. And he's played. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He's awful on Twitter. Never mind. I'm not going to go into it. But he's played very well, the voice actor in the American dub. And I think that, well, again, I love this movie. And that is the end of my recommendation. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or do you
I
want me to
have
just?
something. No, I
Okay.
have something. So Pyro very well, probably most famously is in the X-Men movies, and a lot of people have seen those X-Men movies where he plays Bobby Drake's love interest. And
Okay.
I want to talk about Bobby Drake because Bobby is played by Sean Ashmore, one of the Ashmore brothers, and there's something fascinating about those brothers. They are both in the TV show Smallville. Have you guys seen Smallville?
I am aware of it.
Okay.
I have seen some episodes, but I've never watched the full thing.
So they are twin brothers.
Okay.
And one of them plays what's Superman's best friend's name? Jimmy Olsen. One of them plays Jimmy Olsen, and he doesn't meet Jimmy Olsen until after he's out of high school, supposed to be going to college, but I never see him go to class. Anyway, he meets Jimmy Olsen, and Jimmy Olsen just happens to look exactly like some kid who got powers and tried to kill him in high school. And he never comments on this.
Because they're played by the twins.
They're played by twin brothers. But why does he not say, hey, that new friend of mine, Jimmy Olsen, looks like this guy who tried to kill me in high school? He never mentions it.
I can't think about Smallville without thinking about the modern revelations about the
Yeah.
Nexium cult.
Yeah.
But
that is unfortunate. But
yeah.
the show is surprisingly good, especially for something about Superman, a superhero I hate.
Yeah, I've always heard that it's an excellent show.
It's surprisingly good.
Because it's also surprisingly not a lot about
he never goes by Superman.
Yeah, like it's not very Superman centric, which is the best way to watch anything Superman related.
Yeah, he is very much Clark Kent who happens to have powers, not Superman.
Yeah. In a lot of that series, he's a high school kid, right? For the most part.
The first
couple seasons, right?
3 seasons at least. I think he might start as a freshman and it's 4 seasons. Oh, and boy does he look like a freshman.
Yeah. The actor you were thinking of, Fred, is Billy Crystal.
That's Okay, that's not who I thought that I was talking about. But all right, that does make sense.
Yeah, Billy Crystal in the English version voices Calcifer.
Okay. Well, he does a great job, and yeah, he's great.
Christian
No,
Bale does Hal, which I did not know.
Christian Bale, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
I
know
think
that.
Right?
this is
Yeah.
I
And
think this
Josh
is a
Hutcherson
redub
does
that you're
Marco.
looking at.
That's the
That's
only.
probably not the original dub.
It's the 2004.
Oh
Huh.
wow.
Okay. Well, I don't.
Because
Well,
it's not. It doesn't actually show like it just shows the like original ones, and then it has the English voice. It doesn't have like multiple options.
I want to watch this movie again. I may watch it tonight.
I do too. I think it's on Netflix.
I own the DVD. I'm just gonna watch it.
I did, but I gave it to somebody also. Yeah, listen,
Madness.
shit
Madness.
happens.
Hey, speaking of Netflix, before we go, Brad, have you
Yeah.
watched RRR yet?
You know I haven't.
God damn it. Everyone out there, watch this movie. It should win Best Picture. And I'm gonna stand by that statement.
I did watch Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night?
Yes, you should watch it, Fred.
I've not seen this.
It's
It's on
on
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus. It is an
Okay.
MCU short film.
Yeah.
It's 54 minutes with credits.
Okay.
I very much enjoyed it. I was very happily surprised at the characters that were
It is shot in
introduced.
black and white. Well, it might be shot in color and then black and white ified.
Yeah.
It is a moody, like monster hunting film where they're kind of throwing it back to the old school films, and then it turns into something else, and it's great.
It has
Okay.
a character in it that Brad likes to make fun of a lot. That they could be a 2-point leader in MCU.
No, that's not. No, that's not.
We've talked about her as being a 2-point leader.
I've talked about Victoria Montesi.
Yeah, I know you always make fun of her, but that's not a real option to me. She is a real option to me.
She, I guess she could
we're
be.
talking about
Anyway.
Yeah, let's end it here.
It's good, Fred. Watch it.
Okay.
And it
I'll
has one
watch
of my
it.
favorite characters, Ted, in it.
All right. I will that's gonna do it today for Crit Hit Wild. We hope you guys had fun. And win your games. Have fun out there. See you later. Bye.